Alright guys, so we are getting ready to water bath some tomatoes. I am dicing them up. We are filling up the jars. I'm adding a teaspoon of salt and a touch of vinegar. I don't have any lemon juice or any citric acid, so vinegar it is today. But a little bit of salt as well. And we're going to pack these in here raw. And then we're really going to pack them in here, guys. That's why I have this pot holder here so that I can tap them down in here, and then I'll push them down a little more. And then if there's any space, then we'll fill it up with water. So y'all stay tuned. Alright guys, so we are canning tomatoes today. We are dicing up the tomatoes. I'm rather chunking them up actually, and the only thing I have done is washed them and cut out the end as I'm dicing. So I've cut them up into large chunks and I'm just stuffing a jar with it. We are cold raw packing these tomatoes into this jar, and we will fill this jar all the way up, and then we'll put a teaspoon of salt and lemon juice, citric acid, or vinegar into the jar. So like I said, as you can see, I'm not doing any peeling or anything like that. Now you can, if you want, you can dunk them in hot water for a little tiny bit and then throw them in some ice water, and it will cause those peels to come right off basically. But honestly, I like to leave the peels on because it's just much easier to dice them up that way. When you start getting the peels off, then it turns into a quite messy job. And me personally, I just like to leave them on. Now every now and then the peels do get a little hard on the inside of the jar, or a little tough I should say rather. So if that does not appeal to you, then peel them by all means first. You do what's best for you, but if you don't want to peel, you don't have to, guys. And so that's where we are. We don't want to peel. I like the peels. I don't see anything wrong with the peels. But like I said, every now and then you get a little bit of toughness with it. So just be prepared for that if you choose not to peel. And if you want to peel, go ahead and do it. But we're just going to dice these up. And like I said, I'm not taking any special care with them. I'm just making chunks because we like tomatoes in this house. I like large chunks of tomato especially. And so we're just doing large chunks. Now, like I said, we are raw packing, and that means to pack the jar. Number one part, pack the jar. Get as much in there as you can, because food shrinks up as it cooks. And you don't want to leave, you don't want a half a jar. So we're going to pack this in here, just like the name implies. One more ought to do it. And yes, you probably noticed that not all of these tomatoes are fully ripe, and guess what? That's okay too. Those will probably just stay a little firmer in the mix. Okay, that might be full, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to pack it down again. Notice I have a pot holder on my counter to where I'm not putting, dents in my countertop. I think I can still actually get a little more in there, so let's chop up another one, guys. There is no bleeding allowed in canning, so make sure not to cut your fingers. Alright, that might do it right there. Alright, that is it. We are leaving an inch of headspace. So pretty much this lip of the jar is our headspace. Like I said, we're going to add salt. Guys, we are using canning salt. You can also use sea salt. And we're just putting a half teaspoon in the jars because we don't want a lot of salt in ours. But if you use regular salt, it's okay. You just end up with a little bit of cloudiness. Now we are using apple cider vinegar as our vinegar, and we're just putting a little bit in there because tomatoes are already acidic. And then we're going to fill it up. It doesn't take a lot of water. We have already pre-boiled this water, so it's already hot. Now we're going to take our knife or our headspace tool, whatever you got, and you're going to run it down the sides of the jar because you want to get all the bubbles out. Okay, and then we just mash it back down in here again. Jar is hot, guys, so be careful. All right, now then. I'm just using a wet paper towel to wipe this rim because there's nothing dirty or sticky on here. If you want, you can use vinegar on a paper towel, and there you go. Now, put your lid on and your ring. Now, we do reuse lids, we reuse rings, and the only thing you need to know about that is to expect some failures. So make sure you check your lids out beforehand. Make sure there's no dings in it. Make sure that seal actually looks good, and if it does look good, then you can put it on there and put it in the machine or the water bath. Now we are finger tightening, means you do not want to cinch that down. You want to leave it just hand tight, basically, you know. If you need a man to open that jar right now, then you've got it on way too tight. So we have one more jar to do, and then we will set them up in the water bath. So let me get on that. All right, let me give you guys a tip. Water bath canner takes a while to heat up. So when you start prepping, you might want to go ahead and have this thing filled up and have it already heating up, because you can't start your timer until the boiling water starts, and that boiling water has to continue the entire time it's in there. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and get this on the stove, and then we're going to continue with our prep. Alright guys, so I am more of a rebel canner, but I do get some things from this food preservation book put out by the Extension Service of Alabama. Auburn was in partnership with making this, along with all of the different places, the USDA and everything that comes up with all of these timetables and testings and stuff. But what I wanted to show you is this section here. So, tomatoes, hot pack or raw pack, you know, it tells you in here to add acid, which is either lemon juice or citric acid, or you can use vinegar. Just keep in mind, vinegar may change the flavor some. You're going to fill the jars, then you're going to add a little bit of water to cover them up, but then you can choose your process method. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. Water bath canner for pints is 35, quarts is 40. For a pressure canner, you're going to do 10 minutes. That's all, just 10 minutes. We are going to water bath because I've got green beans going in the pressure canner. So, alright, just so you know. And you want to keep this thing boiling the entire time, a gentle boil, so do keep that in mind, and you will cover the lid. Cover it with the lid. Went ahead and put mine in here. No, it's not boiling yet. My jars are actually a little, they were put in the refrigerator last night, so they are a little cooler than most raw pack jars would be. So we're going to go ahead and let them heat up with the water. But they are in no means processing at this point, so my timer is not on. Keep that in mind. So let's stay tuned. Y'all come with us on our journey today. So we had rain last night. Had a bad storm. Probably got about 4 to 5 inches of rain probably. So y'all want to come with us and see how much damage we have from that. We did lose a couple more of our chicks. We had to get out there and build them something up off the ground to where they would actually get out of the water because it was coming down so much. But we have been out and walked all through the yards already, and we have discovered more damage. So y'all come with us, see what we got. So we are out here at the back with garden number 4, the one that's up by the greenhouse, by the chicken yard. So we've already know that we had a good, nice storm come through because the water itself actually picked up a log yet again and brought it with the flow of the water. So we have a log sitting here from the water flowing, but we also have this. Anybody that grows corn knows what this means. This is not a good sign. This is our peaches and cream corn. Walk around with me, guys. Look at this. So we lost most all of our sweet corn crop. Some of it may stand up, and the downside to this is it actually has ears on it. You'll see the ears of corn there? Hopefully it'll stand up and we'll get a small harvest at least, but we're really not counting on it because if it touches the ground, according to Mark, it typically doesn't stand back up. So yeah, that's one damage. Second damage, the house there blew fuses from lightning strikes. Kitchen bulbs blew, one of the outlets had sparks. It got struck. Actually, the house itself didn't get struck, but it had a power surge 3 times yesterday during all the storms. It's blowed over some of the peas. Not badly, because peas are low to the ground, but you can see where some of the peas have been blown here.
Yeah, you can tell it came right over those trees.
What was that, Mark?
You can tell it came right over those trees right there in the north and dropped down right in here and came right on down through here. You can see which way it blew right there. It come out of the north. That storm did come out of the north.
All right, something else we have noticed is we did not put the string up on this end with bone sauce on it. So we're fixing to do that now because look here. The deer have ate all the peas through here as well. They just come through here munching. Just munching, having dinner. So we're fixing to put up some new bone sauce on these ropes and hopefully get that stopped. Also, we're parking a tractor down here because deer don't like things that are new. So parking the tractor here, and then moving it every day or so will make them pause hopefully as well. So, all right, so that's where we are after storm damage, guys. We'll check in on that. All right, I do believe we are boiling, so I'm gonna put the lid on. Turn the eye down to where it's still boiling, but not rolling boil like that. We just want it gentle. And we are gonna set our timer for 10 minutes. Lord have mercy. As you know, it is summer, it is harvest season, and we are going to show you how to can some green beans today. So y'all come with us, and let me turn the camera around and start telling you about what we got going on. Anytime you are cutting lots of vegetables or anything, you need to make sure your knives are sharp. I'm going to sharpen my knife real quick before we get started. I'm always going to wipe that blade off just to make sure there's no little hairs of metal on there. Okay? Alright, so we do a little different when I am processing beans than snapping. So we go ahead and we pull the ends, get the strings, as you can see, but this hole, because I can do a whole lot more with a knife faster than I can trying to do it, popping each individual bean as I go. So here's what I'm going to do. As you can see, I'm kind of neatening them up. I got a nice little stack of them, and I'm just going to cut them into pieces, guys, because that is so much faster. Now, could you have cut that many green beans that fast? Probably not. So we're going to get this going and get all these green beans snapped where we can can them. So y'all stay tuned. These are going in the pressure canner. They'll be pressure canned with 11 pounds of pressure for, in pint jars, 20 minutes, I believe. Now you can cut these up just like you can snap them in any size that you want. Do make sure that all the ends are off though. Just found one that they weren't. So this batch will have a string in them. My husband and stepson did the stringing, so. Alright, again, get the next batch, straighten them up, get them neat in your hand basically, and just chop them off. They don't have to be any specific length, just get them done. And as you can see, that's pretty fast. Could you imagine doing all this, snapping individual? If you prefer the old way, this is the old way. And as you can see, I'm not getting anywhere very fast, am I? But I can tell you what I am getting, and that's all these extra strings. You eventually get a rhythm if you do this, but it's just much faster if you know you got all the strings to do it this way. Alright, so we've already got 5 done. My canner takes 10 regular or 8 wide mouth. If you mix them, then it'll take 9 of the mixed amounts. So we're going to put a half teaspoon of salt in each jar. Now we're using canning salt. because canning salt does not have anything added to it to keep all the particles separated, which means there's nothing to make my water cloudy. I've got water on boiling to fill these jars up with after I finish, and we're going to stuff the jars. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pack these jars. We are doing the process that is cold, basically, raw pack. All of these are raw. They have not been cooked or anything like that. So we are going to shove them into the jars. We're going to pack them down in here. We're going to add some more. And again, we're going to pack them down in here. We want to leave an inch of headspace. So you got to make sure you get that down in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill up the rest while my water's heating up. When you talk about raw pack, it means pack it in there, guys. You want to get as much in there as you can. You do not want the air in there. You want food in all the holes. So make sure you pack it in there. Sure you leave an inch of headspace. And as you can see, we got too much in this jar. There we go. Inch of headspace is all you want. But you know what? You'd rather that jar be half full than too full. Because if it's too full, then everything comes out of the jar while it's canning. Because you've got to have room for the pressure inside the jar. You've got to have room for the building of the boiling water. You've got to have room in your jar, basically. Otherwise, it's going to blow out. Alright, as you can see, we have 4 jars ready. I've already got my salt, and we're going to pour boiling water over these. We're going to fill it up to the inch of headspace mark. Now, they make a neat little tool for this. If you have one, use it. I've canned so long I don't really need it. But you can use that tool for the next step too. The next step, take that tool or a knife and run it down the sides of your jars. You want to get all the air bubbles out of the jars. Okay? Keep in mind that water is hot when you're pushing in here. But you got to get everything back down below the headspace line after you're finished. Oh, that water's hot. Again, just go around the jar, make sure there's no bubbles. And then push it back down in there. Okay, now we have a wet paper towel. We're going to wipe these rims off. You can do it with either a wet paper towel that's wet with water or wet with vinegar. It's your choice depending on what you're canning. I've just got water around the rim, so that's not going to really bother anything. We do reuse lids, but this is a new lid. Always make sure you look at this rubber ring around here and make sure that everything is still good about it. If you reuse rings, do make sure that that ring is good, and do expect to have some failures. And you will have failures with some of the new lids too. We are hand tightening. Which means that we are only tightening it enough to be closed. If you've got to get a man to open that jar at this point, then you've got it on there too tight. Alright, that's all of our jars, and they're all ready to go into the pressure canner. Alright, we've got all of these jars. They're going down in the pressure canner. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? So we're going to line them up around there and show you in just a second. Alright, there we go. All 9 jars is in the canner. We're going to put our lid on and get started. Pressure gauge is working. This is down for now. We know that this is good, and we know this will have air coming out of it. We have checked all of these before we fired it up, okay? So, we've got the eye on high, and we're going to do this at 11 pounds of pressure for 20 minutes, I think. I'll have to check that again. So, this will come up when it's time to put the weight on, okay? So for now, this is open. So when this comes up, we'll put the weight on. And we are not boiling over here yet, but we are right at it. All right. So some of you know I worked for Extension for a little while. This is Alabama Cooperative Extension, backed by Auburn. And I went and pulled this book up, and it appears that they have lowered the amount of time that you process. So we are a dial, so we're going to put it on 11, and we're going to process these pints for 20 minutes. And that's all we have to do. Notice it says 1 inch of headspace, so I will have to go pour out some water. And here, 1/2 teaspoon per pint and 1 teaspoon per quart of salt. So there you go, guys. If you are doing any sort of snap bean, whether it's green, Italian, or wax, this is the Extension Food Safety for Alabama method. All right. All right. So what we're looking for is for this to pop up. As you can see, steam is coming out of it. When it pops up, that means it's going to be building pressure inside, and steam will start coming out here, and when that happens, then I'll put this on it, okay? And that will stop escape of any sort of air or liquid in there, and it will build up pressure on the inside. Now, we want to build up to 11 pounds of pressure up here. When that happens, that is the point we start canning our stuff. I'll have to double check how long for pints and how long for quarts, and I'll just put a little title up here so you can see that. And guys, that's all there is to it. I'm not afraid my canner is going to blow up or anything like that, because I'm going to be in the kitchen with it. It's not going to get above in here. I don't let it get above 15, and it's not going to blow up. So, you know, this is where we are. We're not afraid of our pressure canner. A lot of people are afraid of their pressure canners. The thing I can tell you the best is give it a shot, guys. Give it a shot now while you've got plenty of people telling you what to do. Give it a shot while you've got somebody to be there with you. I'm never afraid of this blowing up. In my 48 years of life of canning with my grandmother and canning by myself, I have never seen one blow up. Okay, so just make sure that you check all your stuff. Make sure it's good when you put it together, and make sure that you watch the pressure, that it doesn't go up. All right, guys, it's trying to go up. It's fixing to seal off. So let me grab that, and there it went. It's sealed. So we're going to go ahead and put that on now. And now this will fully seal here, and that pressure will start building. All right, guys. So we will be back to check on that. All right, we are at 11 pounds of pressure. We start our 20 minutes now, and we have turned the eye down to help maintain that 11 pounds of pressure. So stay tuned. We'll open up the canner in a little bit and show you what's inside. And in the meantime, the timer for these is going off, so let me work on getting these out. Alright guys, we have a towel out. We have our jar holder. We're taking the lid off. Notice it is still boiling, just like it is supposed to be. So let's work on getting these jars out now. And in case you didn't know, which believe it or not, there are some people out there that don't know this, this is the handle. This is the part that picks up the jars. Just saying. Alright, carefully pull these jars out. They are hot and they are heavy. The wide mouth is the hardest because my things were not made for a large mouth jar. Alright, there we go guys. Now we're going to let these sit on the counter until we hear them pinging. And if you've never heard a ping, just wait till you hear your first ping. It is pretty cool. When these cool down, we'll check that they sealed and everything. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and put another batch in the water bath and keep on going. So guys, we'll see y'all in a bit. Alright. Let's take these tomatoes out. This time there's only 3 in there. We'll set them over here. Also, the pressure canner, the timer has gone off. So we have turned the eye off and we will allow it to release pressure on its own. Very important. Never release the pressure on the pressure canner. Alright guys. We got 7 quarts of diced tomatoes water bathed. So far we have 9 pints. There are 9 more in the canner. And we're about to start doing some dried beans. So if y'all like what we're doing, y'all make sure you leave us a like. Make sure you give us a comment. Always let us know what you think about what we're doing. If there's something you want us to talk about on one of our videos, let us know. Make sure you share. That helps us the most. We do this because we like to teach. And we do this as a record of what we're doing for our family and our friends and things like that. But we also do it for you guys. So make sure you share. Also subscribe and hit that notification bell, guys. We put out a new homesteading video every Tuesday at the moment. And Mark does his fireside chat on Fridays. So y'all make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell to where it'll notify you when we put out new releases. And guys, we will catch you all later. Bye.